I'm going to be selfish. What would I do?
Ram. Out there, let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the February 19th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions, call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right, things are going slow. Everyone's on pins and needles about the whole Matthew Stafford stuff. Not a lot of news breaking right now, although it seems to be picking up. So I figured this would be a good time to share with you what I would do, right? Most of the year, 51 weeks out of the year, you're not going to care about what I would do. But since we're heading into franchise tag season and we're getting closer and closer to the start of the new league year, the new salary cap is about to drop, I thought I'd take this opportunity to tell you what I think and what I would do if I was the GM. So, all right, first off, news broke that the NFL has informed its teams that the salary cap will shoot up about 21, 22 rocks to somewhere between 277 to 281 million. This means the Rams could have between 42 to 46 rocks available. That's not bad for a team that, as close as the Rams were, where they're at, that's a really good number. I mean, we know some years where the Rams have been in terms of cap. And so last year's cap took a huge jump as well. And it was at what, 255? And so, no, this is good news. It's always good news when the cap goes up because it's good news for the Rams. But on the flip side, these cap increases have postponed and delayed teams like the 49ers and even the Seahawks feeling cap pain. And they get kind of bailed out with these things. So it's a yin and a yang. So there you go. So short on new info, and we'll bring it up wherever you guys want to bring up questions about what's going on. So this is, I thought it would be good to share what I would do, right? 1 week, 1 day out of 52 weeks in a year, over 150 shows a year, I'm going to give you what I would do. So some of it will be rational, some of it will be emotional, some of it we'll call hunch, badumchi, right? And so this is what I would do. We'll start in the quarterback room right off the top. I'm keeping Stafford. I don't know what Stafford wants, but I'm keeping Stafford. I'm re-signing Jimmy G, and I'm drafting a quarterback. Now, if a quarterback I like presents himself in the first 100, I'm going to do it. I don't get the love for Kyle McCord at Syracuse. I think my preference would be Jackson Dart, Dylan Gabriel, and whatever. I'm not in love with Kyle McCord, but boy, I just hear a lot of talk about him. Jackson Dart is shooting up. He might climb into the late first round. Be interesting to watch. But that's my quarterback room, front and center. Stafford, backup being Jimmy G. Running back room, based on the question that I posed on Monday, it was an interesting response I got back from some. I posted it on the Rams Rule message board today about I would trade Kyren Williams. I would. I'd trade Kyren Williams, and since this is a deep running back draft and we already have Blake Corum, I'd acquire another pick. I think you can get a third rounder. Most of the simulators say you can get a third rounder for Kyren Williams, and I don't think his value is going to be any higher than it is now. So, yes, I would trade Kyren Williams. Wide receiver room, yes, we're going to dance with Nakua. We're going to dance with Whittington. I really want to see Xavier Smith get used in this offense. He's a little bigger, thicker than Tutu Atwell, but he's also probably the only burner that the Rams have under contract right now. And, I want to see Xavier Smith get a little more action in this offense and used creatively. And, of course, yes, I would draft a receiver in the first 100, even in the first round. if the opportunity presented it. The tight end room, I keep the room. I let Hunter Long walk. And unless a tight end presents itself in the draft, I mean, if you get to number 26 and there's a Tyler Warren and maybe even less so, Colston Loveland, then I think you got to think about it. But I don't care where. The Rams are going to draft a tight end someplace in this draft. They should definitely take a tight end. I don't know how high I'd go unless one of those guys presented themselves. I'm going to come back with Colby Parkinson. There's a reason they signed him. I'm going to come back with Davis Allen. I'm going to go for a final ride with Tyler Higbee. Offensive line, re-sign Alaric Jackson, see if I can get a taker for Jonah Jackson, right? And then draft a tackle. That's it right there. Boom, that's what I would do. Defensive line, I would re-sign Bobby Brown. To me, re-signing Bobby Brown would be a priority. And then I draft another defensive tackle. I'd also keep an eye on Dalvin Tomlinson that we talked about on Monday, that if he is a cap casualty by the Browns, he would be someone I would look at. Linebackers, Rams do really well with linebackers they don't draft, right? They do really well with linebackers they don't draft. Omar Speights, I would definitely bring back Roseboom. I would definitely bring back Jake Hummel, and I'd spend at most, a third round or a third day pick, a day 3 pick on a linebacker just to keep the what did we say, the cupboard full. Although the Rams do seem to like Elias Neal, and we know Speights and Roseboom were a good team. Excuse me. But I think Speights is going to be better this year. I think he's going to be better. Cornerback, yes, I would draft one. Maybe not in the 3rd round, maybe in the 4th, maybe in the first 150, I would draft a corner. But I'm believing in Emmanuel Forbes. I brought it up several times. And if I could, I would bring back Ahkello Witherspoon if possible. Darius Williams is already back. And I think one or the other has to go. The Rams were kind of high on Darian Kendrick going into the summer last year before he tore up his knee. I want to see if he's coming back, if he's coming back healthy. And the one I'm not so high on anymore is THT. I'm just not. Josh Wallace, the UDFA, give him a shot to make the squad. But I'm not hot on Travius Hodges-Tomlinson. It might be time for us to move off. Safety, I like the idea of bringing back John Johnson for a dirt cheap minimum, but I'm also not against drafting another safety on the 3rd day, which is something the Rams routinely do, and we've broken that down before. So those are some of the things I would do if I was in charge, right? Of course, it's not my money. Rams, I had this talk with Mr. Burns earlier. Rams are in a Super Bowl window. Rams, surprisingly, in 2023, again, I bring this up, one possession, one field goal. If we had had Josh Carty in Detroit for the playoff game, we might have beat Detroit last year. And if you remember how bad the 49ers played in the road leading to the Super Bowl in 2023, they were on the ropes against the Packers, and the Lions had them on the ropes, if not for a couple of Josh Reynolds drops. They horsed around, and they got away with it because they were young teams getting their first taste of playoff experience. I think between Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford in 2023, if the Rams had gotten out of Detroit, I think the Rams would have beaten Frisco in Frisco and gone to the Super Bowl. Not saying they would have won. That would have been a shocker. Going to the Super Bowl this year, to me, wouldn't have been a shocker, right? It just wouldn't. They should have gone to the championship game, but it wouldn't have been a shocker. And these next 2 years, and the key to this is this young defense is all under rookie contract, right? We have Kobe Turner and Byron Young on their rookie deals for the next 2 years. And then things start getting expensive. And so the time to act is now. Same thing with Avila. Avila's on his rookie deal for another 2 years, right? You got Kevin Dotson, who played very well this year, started slow, but played well down the stretch. You got him for another 2 years. I don't know about center. We got to figure that out. The idea was that Avila was going to play center, Jonah Jackson left guard, and Kevin Dotson right guard. All those guys are signed up through 2026. So the Rams window is right now. Same thing with Puka Nacua, guys. We got him for 2 more years. And I'm not worried about the Rams re-signing him or losing him to free agency. I'm worried about him being healthy for beyond 2 more years, because the way he plays does have an effect on his health. He's very physical. So the Rams window is right now. That's why the trading of Stafford doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It would be a major setback. It would be the worst thing probably franchise-wise to happen to the Rams since 2016, right? And everything that went wrong when they came back to LA. That's how bad it would be. And I don't mind the bad contracts. They gave too much to Gurley up front. They paid Goff up front and everything. So this would be the worst thing to lose Stafford, because I think your Super Bowl window. Could Jimmy G get you there? Yeah, but is Jimmy G going to do the things when things aren't going right to get you there, right? And Stafford can right a lot of wrongs, right? Like the old Sugar Ray song. He always rights the wrong for us. He can right a lot of wrongs. Jimmy G would need more personnel around him, and things would have to go a little bit more rote, a little more perfectly to get to the Super Bowl. So that's why I think maybe it'll get contentious, maybe it'll get close, maybe it'll get bitter. I would be stunned. For Matthew Stafford to leave, it will not be a business decision. It'll be personal. Unlike The Godfather, where you shoot somebody, it's business, not personal. If Matthew Stafford leaves, it'll be personal, because business-wise, for neither party does it make sense, right? And where it gets personal is where Yoko Stafford gets involved, and then you may have an issue there. So there we go. All right, we do have a couple questions. Mr. Burns chimes in. All right, Mr. Burns. Tim Burns, thoughts on our tight end coach being former O-line coach and it being a sign of more running in 2025? I think that's a good thing. I don't have a personal thought on it, but that's a good thing. I think, Sean McVay, right? 2017, 2018, the heydays of Todd Gurley. That's what the Rams do, right? That's what the Rams do. And you have a more talented passer to open things up. So I'm good with it. I do think they want 2 backs. I think, even if I don't get my wish and you don't trade Kyren Williams now, I do think we're going to see more Blake Corum next year. I think there's a strong possibility you're not going to see Kyren Williams rush for over 1,000 yards, because I think he might drop to 900, and I think you might see Blake Corum go up over 500 to 600 if they're going to run the ball more, because I think they do. Tim Burns, Xavier Smith needs touches. His film is fun to watch. And he's thick, right? I could see him. He's not as big as Debo, but we did use him in different varying ways. I think you can use him in different ways, He also a little bit, it's not him, it's not the same guy, but Brandon Powell. You remember in 2022 with the Rams, McVay was incorporating him into the offense. Now, I know some of that was out of necessity, but Brandon Powell wasn't just a kick returner for the Rams. He could be incorporated into the offense, and Kevin O'Connell brought him there, and he's done that for the Vikings a little bit. I think Xavier Smith could be that guy. I really do. I like Xavier Smith. I want to see more of him. Tim Burns, so do we think about trading players in their 3rd year if we don't have a good start to avoid the contract and gain picks? I don't even want to think of a bad start, right? I don't. I think it was amazing what the Rams accomplished. The Rams, we know, Mr. Burns, and everyone else does too, the Rams should not have finished this season 10-7. At worst, they should have been 12-5. We had the game in Detroit. We came back with all the injuries. Kobe Durant dropped that interception in the 4th quarter that might have probably would have changed the outcome of that game. And we could have won that game. The Arizona game, trap game, I'm not going to worry about it as much. The Bear game, if we had everybody there at the Bear game should have been won. The Dolphin game should have been won. We gave away the game against the 49ers at the end. These games should have been won. I'm sorry, not the 49ers, forgive me. I mean the Seahawks. We gave away that game to the Seahawks because it didn't matter. And I think that was a good move by the team. But this was a good Ram team that got devastated early with injuries. Now, it wasn't the 2022 offensive line chainsaw massacre, but the start to 2024 was unbelievable, where you're in the game without without Alaric Jackson, without Rob Havenstein, right? Steve Avila goes out. Joe Noteboom goes out. I mean, it was crazy, right? And then you lose Puka Nacua. And so then you lose Cooper Kupp after week 2. It was crazy. It was crazy. And they showed a good organization. This team is the team we saw in Philly, and probably better than we saw in Philly. And this is a Super Bowl team with Matthew Stafford. That's how I feel. All right. Well, I'm giving a lot of what I feel today. Wow. Michael Negretti. Hola, Pastor Joe. Do you think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback? No, I don't. I think he's a really good quarterback, and good quarterbacks have won Super Bowls. Jim Plunkett was a really good quarterback, and he won 2 Super Bowls. Jeff Hostetler was a competent quarterback. He won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer was a competent quarterback, and he won a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson was a competent quarterback and won a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is more talented than those guys. Plunkett was a better passer than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has Saquon Barkley, a really good tight end, and a couple of great receivers, right? And the best offensive line in football. We saw what the Rams did to Jalen Hurts. Did Jalen Hurts look like a great quarterback against the Rams in the NFC divisional round? Sacked 7 times. Holds on to it too long when you get the pressure on him, and stuff. So, do I think he's great? No. Do I think he's really good? Yes. There. How does that sound? Did I answer that? Okay. I hope I answered that. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Tarosen, a sports writer for 21 years, and I kind of am doing it now again for Mid-Valley Sports. I'm not editing or running anything over there at Mid-Valley Sports. I'm just kind of working for my friends. But we're posting our columns there. If you want to read Ram Notes, it's posted there at midvalleysports.com. I think I got it in the description box. And if you're interested, check it out there. A lot of content and stuff. But RamView is possible because of Kistler Law. And so we thank you for Kistler Law for their support. And for you guys buying my books. My books are on Amazon. And they're doing pretty well. They're not doing great, but they're doing okay. And just type in Joe Tarosian on Amazon and buy a book. I don't have a Patreon account. I do not have a paywall. That's how we keep business going and keep me in my day job, where I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. And you can find that right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual, all across social media. All right, as stuff rolls in, throw your questions up, guys. It is a free-for-all. Not a lot of new content tonight. Looking at the Rams free agents: Alaric Jackson, Jimmy G, Michael Hoyt, Christian Roseboom, John Johnson, Hunter Long, Akilah Witherspoon, Bobby Brown, Neville Gallimore, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, Joe Noteboom, Troy Reeder, Ronnie Rivers, and I think Tyler Johnson. I got Tyler Johnson on there as well. Let's run down the list. Alaric Jackson, absolutely. Want him back. Yes, we want Alaric Jackson back. We want Alaric Jackson back. Jimmy G, we want Jimmy G back. I want Jimmy G back. And to me, if the button is pushed, right, if the world stops revolving, spinning slowly down to die, and Matthew Stafford leaves the Rams, the best option for the Rams in 2025 is Jimmy G. Michael Hoyt. I like Michael Hoyt. I like, he's a glue guy. You can move him around everywhere. He's a UDFA, so his motor is always something to prove. And we all love Michael Hoyt more, right? Because he when he's not playing in coverage. He played 1,000 snaps in 2023, and there were some moments we were really cringy about that. But I think we were mad at Raheem for putting me in those positions. In 2024, he played 705 snaps, and that's nice because that means he was floating, giving Byron Young and Jared Verse some blows on the sideline. Hoyt has 17 sacks since joining the Rams, so this is good. I like Michael Hoyt. I'd find a way to bring him back. I'd find a way to bring Christian Roseboom back as long as the fee doesn't get crazy. If John Johnson comes back and wants to be a player coach, I'm good with John Johnson. I do not dislike Hunter Long, but I would have no problem if Hunter Long just moved along, right? The guy wants to get playing time, right? Go someplace where you get a shot at playing time. There is a bit of a log jam in the room with the Rams. Akilah Witherspoon, I want him back. I want him back, but I want him to be suspended for some reason that the Goodell makes up, so he doesn't have to play the first 6 weeks of the season. Witherspoon is not a 17-game corner in the NFL. Witherspoon is a guy that excels for half a season, right? He didn't play the first half of this last season, and boy, he was great down the stretch for the Rams. He was great opening last season in 2023 for the Rams and faded down the stretch. He's a piece you want to have. Bobby Brown, I do want Bobby Brown back. I want that depth and that rotation along that defensive line. Again, we'll see. Neville Gallimore, because I want Bobby Brown back, Neville Gallimore looks like he could be, along with Laurel Murchison, they could be casualties there. Demarcus Robinson, if the Rams draft a receiver in the top 50, if they really, trade, move back, or stay at 26 and they get a Luther Burden or somebody like that, something like that in the draft, Matt Golden, somebody, Mr. Burns has something on him. If they get a receiver, I like Nakua, I like Jordan Whittington, and I'd like the new guy to get playing reps and with Xavier Smith spotting them. I don't think we need to go bring back Demarcus Robinson, right? We don't. If he comes back, I'm not going to be mad, but he can go. Tutu Atwell. I love Tutu Atwell. I'm an Atwell guy. I think the Rams did him dirty. First, by overdrafting him, probably drafted him a little too high. But the other aspect of it was they always liked him. He caught the ball, right? And yet they couldn't find a way to work him in the offense. And this guy's in his mid-20s now. It's time to leave the nest and go someplace that'll let him play. I could see him going to KC and getting on a lot of highlights. Joe Noteboom, gone. People were surprised I listed Joe Noteboom as a bust. Joe Noteboom was a hit his first contract, but he got that second contract, and he was an absolute whiff in that second contract. Troy Reeder, thank you. Add him to the coaching staff, right? Ronnie Rivers. I like Ronnie Rivers. I do. But it's time for Ronnie Rivers that he might want to maybe move on. He is a free agent. Rams have right now Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, and Cody Schrader. I've told you, I've shared that I think the Rams like Cody Schrader, and I don't think the Rams are long for Ronnie Rivers. And also Tyler Johnson. I like Tyler Johnson, but he's just a guy. If the Rams draft a receiver, go with Jordan Whittington and Nakua, and then Xavier Smith. So that's what my thoughts are on the Rams free agent class. All right, let's keep moving on here. CJ Ruthless. There we go. What a name. All right. Burrell Stouffer. KDM. Is that KBM? Are you bagging on me for KBM? Let me know what you mean there, guys, because I could be wrong. All right. Around the NFL and other places, not a lot here to look at. Carolina Panthers signed Andy Dalton. He's 37 to a 2-year contract extension for 8 rocks, 6 guaranteed to back up Bryce Young. And it's hard to believe Andy Dalton's 37. I saw Andy Dalton play in the Holiday Bowl for TCU back in the day. So it's really weird to think of Andy Dalton being at the end of his career, the red rifle and everything. But that tells you what folks think of competent backups, right? And pretty good part on Canales there at Carolina for holding on to him to back up Bryce Young. And Carolina played well down the stretch, right? And I was out on Bryce Young, totally out on Bryce Young. And I don't know if I'm totally in on Bryce Young right now, but it is something that Carolina is worth watching. The Rams go to Carolina. The Rams actually go to Carolina next year. And so it'll be interesting to see how they progress. And I'll talk about the Rams schedule here in a second. Franchise tagging started yesterday. So you have between February 18th and March 4th to franchise tag players on your team. NFL Combine starts next week. I think that's Monday. Yeah, it is Monday. NFL Combine starts Monday. There are times I never missed a minute of the NFL Combine. And then there are times I don't know what it is. I think when the Rams were always drafting, in the 3rd round, I don't think I watched the NFL Combine because I just wanted to see guys that would be down the road. So I scanned film and I scanned Senior Bowl rosters and that kind of stuff. But now the Rams have another year in the first round. It's like, oh, okay, I'll watch the combine from start to finish. And then March 12th, the new league year begins. So we're already at the 19th. So that's 21 days. 3 weeks from today, the new league year starts. And that's when a lot of roster bonuses will have kicked in. That's when we're going to see cap casualties where players are going to get cut. And free agency period will begin. In fact, you're going to hear about free agency a couple days before because the legal tampering period begins March 9th, March 10th. And so that's where you're going to see the moves. And then April 23rd, deadline for signing restricted free agents to offer sheets. And, of course, the NFL draft is the 24th through the 26th. I've come to love the NFL draft. I like second day and third day a lot better than I like the first day. I can't stand the red carpet. I can't stand the stupid questions. I can't stand the Hollywoodizing of the draft. I liked it when what did you get on the first day? You got the first 3 rounds on the first day on a Saturday. That was the best. But I understand you have to maximize your audience, and people are going to watch that. I know nobody really watches the NBA draft. You ever watch the NBA draft? They really ought to base it in Europe, because I think I watched the NBA draft 2 years ago, and it was like 9 of the first 12 players were all from Europe. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Tim Burns. Do we consider Roseboom a top 15 tackler in the league now that he is a top 15 tackler, meaning keep him as a centerpiece at linebacker? I thought Roseboom played really well when he was paired with Spates. I've said that. My thing about tacklers is, and this was something somebody pointed out to me, and again, this was a time where, man, I'm watching a lot of football, and there's guys who make tackles and guys who make plays making tackles. And I don't want to disparage anybody, okay? So don't take this as me slamming a former Ram. I like James Laurinaitis. Remember James Laurinaitis? I know those years were lost in St. Louis, but what was he with the Rams? 2008 through 2015, like 8 seasons and stuff. And he was just a solid guy. Took his act out there every day. He never made, and it was pointed out to me, they said, Joe, watch it a little more closely. He's a competent player. He's a good player. Rams got him second round. And he's a really good player. But does he make plays? He'll finish. And sometimes, I guess, all you want is the guy that's just going to make the tackle, right? And compare that to Omar Spates. Omar Spates made plays last year. Some of those fourth downs, he'd come up and make the play. And Laurinaitis was fundamentally sound. He was a second rounder, and he racked up a lot of tackle totals. And I played quarterback. I know offense better than I know defense. Somebody wants to correct me on that, I'll take all your correction. I'll take all your input. But I like Roseboom. I don't consider him a top flight player. For efforts served, I'd give him 2 rocks a year, maybe. I think he's worth 1.9 or something. I think that's his market value. Unfortunately, you can find a Christian Roseboom someplace else. I think he's better than Troy Reeder right now at this point, and so I'd like to keep him. But if his agent comes back and says I need 3 for 11 rocks, 3 years, 11 rocks, something, it's like, nah, dude, sorry, that's good. But I get an idea that maybe Christian Roseboom knows what he is. He's one step above a special team player. And so I like him. He wants to stick around. Great. But he's not a huge loss. Yeah, there we go. Michael DeGretti, hola, Pastor Joe. I like your explanation on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Do you think the Eagles look like the Seahawks and the Legion of Boom? Ooh, there's an interesting one there, because I think some other folks have said that, right? Super talented roster and everything. I don't know. They got Josh Sweat they're going to lose. I know Lane Johnson's coming back, but he's got some age. And there is a thing out there. I know it could be a little hit and miss and a little subjective, but when you're running back outside of Derrick Henry, right? But when your running back takes as much of a beating as your running back does, gets as many touches as Saquon Barkley does he come back the following year at the same level, right? And then here's the thing too, they won a Super Bowl, so you can't slam anything bad about the Eagles. But they're not choir boys, right? We see the template for the Rams. Rams draft high character players, and that's why this Stafford thing it's kind of cup. It's just, man, that's just a lot of stuff you don't hear with the Rams. The Rams have a certain type of player they draft in disposition, but we see that with the Eagles. You have all kinds of stuff. A.J. Brown calling stuff out. Jalen Hurts and his coach not getting along at different times. And now that you got a ring, and now that you got some bling, and now that you got some status, there's something that we used to call it when I played basketball. After the game was won, and there's still time on the clock, it became get mine time. And that was the time where you made sure that if you weren't in double digits yet, you launched a couple of threes to make sure you got into double-digit territory, or you didn't pass the ball when somebody was open because you wanted to take that shot to make sure you got to you got in double digits, or if you're at 19, you got over 20 and stuff. And so the Eagles might, which franchises do. Remember that the Chiefs are an outlier. Will it become get mine time? Will they have some struggles there? And they got some free agents to work out. And will they stay healthy? I think there's just a lot of little things there. I don't think they can continue to put – I like what Jalen Hurts did. He seemed to pick in spots, and that's the best thing. I don't like design runs outside the 20 for any of these running backs, any of these quarterbacks. I think as strong as Jalen Hurts is, this year showed he can be hurt. And so could they just be a team that's in and fake? Yeah, I could see that. The NFC is going to be tough. Stafford stays. Rams are going to be tough. Rams could beat the Eagles. We don't know about the drop-off, but they got offensive talent there. The Eagles didn't have to face the Lions. The Taxskins are only going to get better, right? And then the Vikings and the Packers, when they settle some of their issues, no, there's nothing going to be easy about the NFC at all. I mean, we're not even going to talk about the NFC South, but yeah, the Seahawks could be better, but they're dancing with Geno Smith, so throw them out. 49ers are getting old. Cardinals are a team to watch, though. Cardinals are a team that you got to be careful about, because their biggest problem, besides getting a few more names on defense, maybe a more legitimate pass rush, their problem is going to be Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray can only take them so far. And once they figure that out, once they move off of that one, watch out for the Cardinals, because I think they've got it right at GM and at HC. Yeah, so there we go. USA Expat, good to have you, man. Put a transition tag on Jackson. Now, the transition tag, I haven't worried about it for so long. That's not a franchise tag. Franchise tag, he's yours. Transition tag is the you place it on him, that you say, this is what he's worth, this is what we're doing. I don't know if you can. Can you do that on an unrestricted free agent? Anyway, you put that on him, and then he gets a better deal, and you could match it. And if you don't match it, he leaves. You don't get any compensation. If we don't do anything and say Alaric Jackson goes and signs with a team in need of an offensive line, like the Bears, maybe the Bears. I'm thinking the Patriots, or some of these teams drafting a young quarterback. Rams right now would probably get a third-round pick for Alaric Jackson if he left in compensation. We do know if you franchise tag him, it's between 23 and 25 rocks. Tim Burns, trade Kyron, draft Scataba. That would be interesting, right? I like Kyron Williams. I do. But not every one of these running backs is Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. I know Colin Coward and everybody's going ape over, hey, it's the era of the running back again. No, these are great running backs, right? I don't put Kyron Williams at that level. I like Kyron Williams, but he's not at that level. And and we're still waiting for a home run from Kyron Williams, right? We know that's just not his gear. Competent, great, good running back. And if all things were equal and you didn't have to worry about a salary cap and you didn't have to worry about all that stuff, yeah, Kyron Williams for life. But that's not the nature of the beast anymore, is it? So yeah, I would move off Kyron Williams, and if Scatabo was there and Blake Corum was ready to be the number one guy and could play pass pro, protect Matthew Stafford's blind side, draft a Scatabo, let Scatabo only 4 years for the Rams, use him as a utility player, let him bash and smash And then after 4 years, I'm not going to re-sign him, let him go someplace else and just repeat the process, especially at running back. There we go. New England Boxing Network, really good live stream. Joe, oh, whoa, thank you very much. New England Boxing Network. Wow, that's really cool. I'm assuming New England Boxing Network, you guys are Patriot fans. You guys got to get Drake May a wide receiver. Got to get him a receiver and work on that offensive line because I think Drake May is really good. I didn't like Drake May in college, but I did with you guys because I saw him almost beat the Rams. I did. I saw him almost beat the Rams. Michael Negretti. Thank you, New England Boxing Network. Please hit subscribe and continue to join us. Let's see here. Keep Kyron and draft Scatabo, Michael Negretti. If Scatabo presents himself in the 4th round, which I don't think he will, I am not anti-Scatabo because I think you could use him in different places. But I think with picks 26, 90, and 100, I think the Rams have other needs than drafting a running back that high, unless you picked up some capital trading Kyron. Just my thoughts. New England boxing fan, laugh it out. Yes, I'm a Patriots fan, my friend. Awesome. So what did you think about that Ram Patriot game this year? That was a little closer than I wanted it to be. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. I didn't like the Gerard Mayo hiring. I thought it was, you had to kind of break away out of that Belichick thing. I felt like Mayo was kind of hired to be fired. But Vrabel did prove himself with the Titans, and now he's got a really good quarterback, which I don't think he had anything more than Tannehill than when he was with the Titans as far as elite quarterback. And so yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how the Patriots develop from here. But I do like Drake May. I hope he works out for you guys, and I don't see him play again until Super Bowl 60. All right, let's see. That was a good game, Joe. I'm really happy we got Mike Vrabel. So, okay, let me ask you this then. I think it's good you got Vrabel too. Watching the Patriots, I saw them in the preseason, and I saw them in other games, and I saw some of the stuff there. I didn't think Mayo was a good hire. Did you think at the time Mayo was a good hire? I'd love to hear from you on that. All right. I'll let New England work on that question. Just looking at Rams opponents again, 2005 home games, 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks, of course. Rams get the Saints at home. Saints got some disarray. You got the new Kellen Moore as head coach. They are in cap hell. I think the Saints are cruising for a bruising, and it's going to be interesting to see if they just are patient with Kellen Moore because he's going to need time to turn it around. But I got to be honest with you, I hate the Saints. So if they rot and lie stinking in the earth, I'm good with it. So that's okay. And the Rams get them at home. We don't have to go to New Orleans. The Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield coming back to SoFi. It looks like I saw something. I saw a blurb today that said they are setting about to re-sign Chris Godwin. And then of course you got Mike Williams. You got all those, not Mike Williams, I'm sorry. You got all those guys there. My mind's drawing a blank right now. Mike Evans. And so there's a lot of talent there in Tampa Bay. Raheem Morris has done a really good job. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays. I don't think the Buccaneers are a duck walk. Texans are going to be interesting. They're not going to be a duck walk. Colts, if they could figure out Anthony Richardson, that was a good team last year. They just didn't have a quarterback. Hello, Aaron Rodgers, right? Would you bring Aaron Rodgers there? And then the Lions. Lions are going to take a little step back, but that doesn't mean they can't win the division. That means they're not a threat, but the Rams get them all at home. Then, of course, away, Rams get the Panthers. They're kind of a mystery to me. Rams get the Falcons in Atlanta, but they're going to be, depending on what part of the season they're going to be breaking in Michael Penix. And the Rams defense figures to be better next year. Jaguars, new coach, Liam Cohen, and trying to resurrect Trevor Lawrence. I think they're going to have some struggles early. Titans are another team. It's really interesting about what they're going to do at quarterback. I don't think they're bought in on Will Levis, and it keeps showing a lot of mock drafts show them drafting Abdul Carter. And then, of course, the Rams got to go back to Philly again, and then they go to Baltimore again. I think for the third time in 4 years, the Rams will be going back to Baltimore. And Baltimore is an interesting team because I wonder when fatigue sets in, right? And I'm not slamming Lamar Jackson, but I'm wondering when fatigue sets in, because again, it's a case, and I heard it again, where it was, well, they just didn't give Lamar enough help. And it's like, when they never give him enough help, according to the KBM. So it's interesting there. And their defense isn't great. It got better, but their defense isn't great. And again, it's all conditional. And I think Lamar Jackson takes too many hits. And I think he's a really good quarterback. I don't think he's great. He takes too many hits. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on that Rams schedule. The way it looks like, depending on the season, what time we are. Titans, Eagles, Ravens could all be weather games, depending on when the Rams have to go there. All right, let's see. New England boxing fan. I honestly didn't think Mayo was a very good hire. Okay, so we're in agreement. I think he could be a good coach, but just wasn't ready. Plus, I feel like they did nothing to help him out. They just handed him the same team. Yeah, pretty much, right? Pretty much. Yeah. So I guess there was something to that promise that he was going to be the successor to Belichick, and did they just feel like Kraft just feel like they had to do that? I don't know. I'd be curious to hear more from you about what it's like after the ball, right? After the party there in New England. So, all right, looking at mock drafts. Nothing really new came across my books today. I always look for a new mock draft and just to see where everyone's going. But I've looked at about 15 mock drafts, and roughly 10 of them have the Rams taking an offensive lineman. I think that's lazy. I don't know. You know, that means you have to be projecting in your head that Alaric Jackson's going to walk. I think you have to be for you to do that, because otherwise I'm looking at this Rams roster. They keep Alaric Jackson. They keep Matthew Stafford. My thought would be, I got to get Matthew Stafford some more weapons. And that's where the Luther Burden pick earlier this week from Dan Parr came in at NFL.com. And that's about the only offensive pick I've seen for the Rams as far as skill players. And so keep an eye on that. I did see in a draft that Jackson Dart jumped up into the high second round, and we had talked about that. Keep an eye on that going forward. And for some reason, keep an eye on Kyle McCord, because I'm seeing a lot of buzz on Kyle McCord. Either he's paying somebody to put it out there, or he's actually showing something that's making people think like, wow, that's pretty good stuff. All right, so let's get to this.
It was a stone groove, my man.
It was a stone groove. So let's get to this date in Rams history. Let's see. On this date in Rams history, they signed safety Devin Bush as an unrestricted free agent from the Falcons. He had been a first-round pick for the Falcons, and he played in back-to-back Super Bowls. He was with the Falcons in Super Bowl 33 when they lost to the Broncos, and he was with the Rams in Super Bowl 34 when, yes, Mike Jones made the tackle. He left the Rams after 2000. On this day, speaking of, from earlier in the show, on this day in 2016, as the Rams were preparing, because I think it was finalized in January of 2016, the Rams were coming home. It was announced, the Rams had released cap casualty guys, Chris Long, James Laurinaitis, and Jared Cook. Laurinaitis, I did not see anyplace else. Maybe he landed someplace. Jared Cook bounced around the league. Jared Cook, an extremely talented tight end, but my saying was Jared Cook giveth and Jared Cook giveth away, giveth back, because he'd make a great catch and do a bonehead play. Even Shannon Sharp said that. And then Chris Long, who had a year in Philadelphia and then had a year in 2 years, I think, in Philly, 1 year in New England, and won Super Bowls after all those struggling years with the Rams. I like Chris Long. He wasn't a bust, but he wasn't Max Crosby either. Okay. Born on this day, 1952, former Ram and Super Bowl 14 villain Eddie Brown. And also born on this day in 1954, Ram legend and hero Billy Waddy. And here's the great thing about Billy Waddy. I share this every year. I love sharing this story. In the summer of 1976, the Rams traded defensive end Leroy Jones. Now, Leroy Jones had been a 9th-round pick of the Rams in that 75 draft. And so he was a 9th-round pick in the 75 draft. And that was a draft where the Rams scored Mike Fanning, Dennis Hara, Doug France, Monty Jackson, and they also got Rod Perry and Pat Hayden. But also in that draft, they took a center from Washington State named Jeff Reese. I don't know why they took him. And then they flipped him the following year for a 1977, I think, 31st overall pick, and that was Nolan Cromwell. And part of that same 75 draft class was Leroy Jones. But the Rams, not only did they draft Mike Fanning, they had Cody Jones there on the interior, but on the exterior, you had Jack Youngblood, and Fred Dreyer. So he got sent to the Chargers. The Rams got back a second-round pick for Leroy Jones in the 77 draft. Second round, 50th overall, and they got Billy Waddy. Now, Billy Waddy didn't have a monster catches, about 120 catches for the Rams, but in the 79 playoffs, 6 catches, 172 yards, 28 yards a catch. And of course, he had the one that he caught in the playoff round that beat Dallas in the 79 playoffs, one of the greatest days of my life. And he had a couple of big catches in the Super Bowl. And as we know from the highlights, when Ferragamo threw his pick that Jack Lambert got, it was Waddy who was open in the end zone. And of course, Ferragamo was part of the 77 draft, along with Billy Waddy, Nolan Cromwell, Wendell Tyler. Whoa, and Bob Brzezinski. Man, pretty good draft class. I wonder who their GM was. Quick mention here. Yeah, I think that's it. Cool. We got that in this day in Rams history. All right, let's see if we got anything else left out there for questions, guys. And we'll go from there. New England Boxing Network. It's been a bummer up here with the Patriots. Hoping Vrabel can spark back the organization. We got Daniels back as offensive coordinator. Yeah, you got Josh McDaniels back there. I saw that, to work with Drake. So that's going to be really interesting for you guys. The Jets are the Jets. We know where they're at. We're going to put them at the bottom. The Bills are the Bills. The Bills are going to stay up here. Dolphins are a team you can leapfrog over, because I don't have a lot of faith in the Dolphins. I think they spent all their money in the bad spots. Let's see. Willie Bowen, LA Rams in the draft. Strong power fullback in the backfield with Kyron. Hey, Willie, I want to make Tim Burns really happy. What if we drafted Scatabo from Arizona State? Would you love that one? He's got a fullback mentality. New England boxing record. My favorite player ever for the Rams, Derek Dickerson. I remember him well. I've been watching the NFL since 1980. All right. Rams played the Patriots in 1980 there in Foxborough. I ditched church that day and I watched that game. There we go. Willie Bowens, all for Scatabo. There you are, Mr. Burns. The first Super Bowl I ever saw was the Steelers-Rams back in 79. I was rooting for the Rams. Yeah, so was I. I always tell people I can remember, if not every play, every emotion, at every turn of every big play. I can tell you what I was feeling. That was kind of left an indelible memory on my brain. I was about 15. And a thing that I don't think most fans appreciate now that we got to appreciate growing up was, so I'm watching the Rams playing Super Bowl 34, and I'm going to wrap this up here, guys. So I'm going to end at the 50-minute mark. So I grew up watching the Rams. I picked them up in 72, but I became a diehard in 73. So I knew Jack Reynolds. I mean, I grew up with Jack Reynolds, Jack Youngblood, Fred Dreyer, Larry Brooks, right? I knew these guys, and then you picked up everybody else along the way, McCutcheon and Dennis Hara and Jackie Slater and all these guys. And so you built this Dave Elmendorf. You built this, this connection with them. So when they got to the Super Bowl, the journey was just, oh, wow. That I picked them up 7 years before, and about a third of the team was still together. Now I think if the Rams get rid of if Kupp and Stafford leave, I think the only one remaining from Super Bowl 56 will be Rob Havenstein that played. So these transition so fast now, but you kind of grew up with those teams, and so you get really emotional about them. So yeah, there you go. All right, 45 seconds left here, guys. I downed my thing. Let's see here. Rams should have won that game. Brother, you're preaching to the choir. Buy my book, Game Day in the RamCave, and it's a novel. It's on Amazon, and that'll tell you all my feelings on that one. But check that one out. Willie Bowen, if Wendell Tyler and Cullen Bryant didn't fumble the ball, the LA Rams would have gotten Lombardi that year. My issue with that one, Willie, is I don't think Tyler had a fumble in the Super Bowl, but there was the Cromwell pick six drop. That was third quarter. The one that got me was Eddie Brown, whose birthday is today. It was Eddie Brown hanging Rod Perry out to dry with no inside help. And the thing that was disgusting about that is that Pat Thomas had knocked Lynn Swann out of the game. So why wasn't Stallworth being bracketed or double covered? And on that play, Bradshaw didn't even use play action. And Eddie Brown just froze, and it was a deer in the headlights, and Stallworth went streaking by him. Inside leverage went to Stallworth, and Rod Perry was still that much, maybe even less than that much in that one. So kills me. Tyler fumbled the ball in the red zone in the Super Bowl. Did we lose a fumble in the Super Bowl? I know he fumbled against the Buccaneers 2 weeks before. I'll check that one out, Willie. All right. Let's see. New England just subbed your channel. You're a super cool guy. Thank you. All right. I'm cool. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. Thank you, Willie. I'll check that out, Willie, and we'll go from there. Guys, I got to go. We're 50 minutes in. Thank you for hanging with me. And I'm going to leave my email in the box. So drop me a line. Drop me your mock draft. And we'll go from there. All right, guys. God bless. Take care. We'll see you soon.